The African American Heritage Trail, located in downtown Springfield, is a collection of 20 sites marking the previously unrecognized contributions of people who helped shape our community.
We began a research project called The Journey Continues, looking at the contributions, looking at the history, the development of the African American community in Springfield. As a result of that, we heard so many wonderful stories, wonderful accounts, so many treasures that mark historical significance to the African American community, and in many respects also shape the fabric and the complexity of Springfield as we know it today. And so we created the African American Heritage Trail.
The African American Heritage Trail is simply an opportunity to pay tribute and to pay respect to the past and to provide worth to people who unfortunately were not valued as such.
Each of these markers have a legacy of its own, but it binds the African American community together.
The trail features sites such as Silver Springs Park and Timmons Hall Church.
One of the sites is Silver Springs Park. That was where we first put the first sign. I grew up in Silver Springs Park. It was the center of the African American community.
Silver Springs Park was the only African American park because all the other parks were not designated for people of color.
Timmons Hall Church of God in Christ is now located in Silver Springs Park, but it was one of those early churches that was central to the community.
The church has a vital role in the history of African Americans. It was practically the only place that black people could go to convene without being victimized by the Klan or white nationalists.
Timmons Hall was built in 1932. It was during the time of segregation. The church was really the first school where you learned to provide for your family. It became what you needed because socially you couldn't go outside of that rim during that time of segregation.
We provided $11,667 to support the expense associated with the trail markers. History gets written by a certain population of people, and then really important parts of our community's history are never shared. And the African American Heritage Trail provides an accurate look at a population of people who were very key to the success of Springfield and to the growth of our community.
Folks can come and they can see the history and talk about, the legacy of the black community.
People think segregation was 200 years ago. No, it was actually in the lifetime of many people who are walking around the United States today. We grew up in times where we saw the signs that said for colored only. We grew up in a time where we had to go to a separate beach or a separate side of the drive-in theater, couldn't sit in the restaurant. And we need to tell those stories because understanding our history is critical to determining our future.
When I was a young person growing up, there were no places that we could really take pride in. Nobody recognized the worth or the value of people that look like me. And so the African American Trail has a role so folks can recognize the contributions of the African American community.
By raising awareness of the history that took place in Springfield, it will become a better home for everyone. Signing off for Central Intelligence, this has been Jacob Tetlow and Elizabeth Swords reporting.